Hare Krishna. I thought, I don't know, it was muted. You
Yeah,
are the
Hare Krishna.
person, the cause of all causes. Before the material creation, your material energy is dormant. As Mahavishnu, you activate it by your grace. At that time, the three modes of nature are set into motion, bringing into existence the Mahatattva, the totality of material energy. This Mahatattva systematically differentiates into false egotism, ether, air, fire, water, and earth. Then the living entities are impregnated into the cosmos and then emerge first as Lord Brahma, and then the seven great sages, then as the other principal gods. From the gods come humans, animals, trees, birds, beasts, and everything else. So we'll pause there. So we are noticing here Lord Shiva's prayers, very, very powerful prayers, very relevant, very, it's not just give me that, give me that. Om Jai Jagadisha Hare, give me a house by the sea. No, this is understanding, deeper understanding of the tattva, deeper understanding of the powers of the Lord, the functions of how the Lord is so systematically, specifically able to cure different aspects. And all these prayers, conclusion of some of the prayers we read till now, asking for the association of devotees, because that association is never destroyed and will always help us. Any other material achievement will be destroyed. So he is, Lord Shiva is guiding the prachetas to tell them that you will never fall into material illusion, which is like a dark well. If we can see everything in relation to Krishna, which means, like Prabhupada said, put Krishna in the center, then if we can then put everything in the context, prioritize chanting his holy names, worship his form, study his qualities and pastimes, and visit his holy places, all these things together, it improves our awareness and our eagerness to want to be with Krishna. Right? Otherwise, how can we go back to Godhead? Like if we even want to meet some material person, a friend across the city or even something, we need some determination, we need eagerness, right? If we don't have eagerness, we will not even take our whatever it is, car or a bike or something, and drive around the city. And if we want to go to a meeting outside our town or something, how much eagerness that needs. So similarly here, we need eagerness. If we want to know Krishna, if we want to meet Krishna, we need eagerness, and we can show that eagerness in all these regards: chanting the holy name, worshipping the form, going and seeing the deity form, serving the deities, listening to the pastimes, understanding the qualities of the Lord. Then the eagerness will slowly increase. That's the goal. Basically, all the 9 processes of devotion and service, they are meant to increase our eagerness to be with Krishna. Because without eagerness, without enthusiasm, we cannot. Utsaha nishchaya dhairyat tat karma pravarthanat. Without enthusiasm, we cannot. Right? One day, one of the associates of Lord Chaitanya asked Lord Chaitanya, I don't have enthusiasm, what to do? And then the answer was almost like, then you're doomed. But then there was the other answer that we should, until we get the real enthusiasm, we should pretend like, say, what is that? Do as if. Do as if you're inspired, and then inspiration will come. Okay. Any of you like to start reading from here? Ntikishwari or Rasastali Mataji? Nice to see you both. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. From where I have to read?
This one. Since the universe is manifestation of your energy.
Okay.
Oh no, that's finished. This one. The princes were mesmerized. Here.
Okay, Mataji. The princes were mesmerized as Shiva sang his prayers in mellifluous tones. They marveled at its perfect composition and depth of meaning. Shiva went on, Lord, after creating this world, you enter the hearts of all creatures as supersoul. You also enter as the living entities themselves, who are your separated parts. The tiny souls enter bodies created either from an embryo, egg, seed, or within sweat. Regardless of what type of body they occupy, they are all busily pursuing sense enjoyment. As the all knowing super soul, you direct everyone to fulfill their desires. Although you remain aloof from such so-called happiness. Unfortunately, the enjoyment of living entities in the material world is exactly like the bees' enjoyment of honey in the honeycomb. Two princes raised their hands. Shiva tilted his head back slightly. You have some questions? One of the princes asked. Lord, what kind of living entity is born in sweat? There are many forms of fungi and bacteria that multiply in perspiration. Then he turned to the other brother. What is your confusion, my dear boy? Lord, kindly explain the metaphor of bees enjoying honey. Shiva said, when bees try to enjoy the honeycomb, they bite each other, thereby suffering as they try to find pleasure. Human society is similar. Mankind is engaged in collecting various resources to enjoy. However, everyone is in competition with each other. In their rivalry for resources, sometimes nations declare war on each other, or one person harms another. Thus, like bees, humans inflict misery. Uh, Mataji, you have to turn to the next page. Yeah. Thus, like bees, humans inflict misery on each other in their pursuit of pleasure. Do you understand? The Prachetas respectfully bowed their heads. Yes, Lord. Shiva said, so you should pray in this way. O Lord Krishna, although you cannot be seen, your absolute authority is experienced in your form as time, which destroys everything. By the force of time, one living being kills another. Time scatters all things exactly as the wind disperses clouds. Due to uncontrollable greed, all people in this world fanatically busy themselves with plans to enjoy. As Vig, next page, Mataji. As vigilant death, you seize those who neglect your supreme authority, just as a snake snatches and swallows a mouse. After many births of struggling to enjoy or whimsically pursuing self realization, a person eventually becomes wise and recognizes that unless he worships you, his life will be wasted. Such a person serves you in all situations, always hearing about and glorifying you. Shiva raised a hand toward the heavens. Even Lord Brahma, my father and spiritual master, and also the 14 Manus, who all have tremendously long lives, fear death. Consequently, they worship Lord Krishna. How much more imperative it is for you humans to worship Krishna, as you only have a very short lifespan. My dear Lord Krishna, you are the all pervading Brahman and also the super soul. Wise people who want freedom from fear take shelter of you alone. In many forms as Rudra, I destroy the universe. Everyone fears that form. However, one who always worships you, Lord, need never fear even my Rudra form. For you always protect such a it is come such a learned devotee. Next page, Mataji. The brothers slowly nodded their heads. Their devotion for Krishna increasing with Shiva's every word. My dear princess, pray to Krishna as I have just taught you, and simultaneously offer the results of your work to him. By so doing, you will very much please him and you will experience all good fortune. Krishna is in your hearts. Indeed, he is in everyone's heart. He is famous as Hari, one who takes away all misery. Therefore, recite his glories and meditate on him constantly. O princess, commit to memory this hymn, which is the yoga of chanting Krishna's holy name and glories. By repeating it with attention and reverence, never speaking of anything else, you will become great sages. I heard this prayer from Lord Brahma, the master creator who taught it to me, and other progenitors headed by Bhrigu. Ordered by Brahma to procreate, we chanted this hymn in praise of Krishna and became free from all ignorance. Thus, we were able to produce all type of living beings. Krishna is the goal of life. Anyone who with faith absorbs his mind in Krishna by chanting this hymn with great attention and reverence will next page, Mataji, undoubtedly attain the greatest perfection in life. Shiva paused and looked from one brother to other. My dear princess, to understand the transcendental knowledge I have taught in this prayer is gr- I have taught in this prayer is the greatest achievement in the material world. This knowledge is capable of carrying one across the otherwise impassable ocean of nations. It is very difficult to re-establish one's eternal relationship with Krishna. However, anyone who hears and recites the hymn I have just taught, you will very easily evoke Krishna's mercy. There is no higher benediction than Krishna's loving service. Any human being who recites this prayer will please Krishna and receive any benedictions he desires. A faithful devotee should rise early every morning and recite this prayer and also tell it to others. By so doing, you will become free from karmic bondage. O princess, this hymn is meant for pleasing Krishna, the super soul in the heart. Its recitation is as effective as performing great austerity. I advise you to recite it constantly. In time, you will surely achieve all your goals and your lives will be successful. Chapter 25, King Puranjana. The sage Narada used an allegory to instruct King Prachina Bhari. The darkness of night enveloped the two friends. Maitreya tended the fire. You must be tired, Vidura. Why don't you rest a little? I am not all tired. I am enthralled by your narration. Pray tell me what transpired next. Maitreya smiled. After Lord Shiva had instructed them, the princess worshipped him with great devotion. Shiva then vanished from their sight, and the princes immersed themselves at the bottom of the lake. They remained there for 10,000 years, reciting the prayers Shiva had taught them. They stayed underwater for 10,000 years. How is it? How is that possible? Maitreya replied, remember they lived in the Satya Yuga, when the lifespan was 100,000 years. 10,000 years was not a long time for them. And in that age, everyone was adept at yoga. By yoga practice, you can suspend the breathing and circulate the life air within the body. This was possible in Satya Yuga, not now. Of course, you are right. Please continue. While the Prachetas were practicing austerities under the lake, sage Narada visited their father Prachina Bhari. He was performing sacrifice to attain the heavenly planets in his next life. Listen to what transpired between them. A grey stallion, hornless ram, and a goat were tethered to a stake, their eyes covered with dark silken cloth. Three priests approached the animals with a device for killing them. One by one, they quickly slew the beast as sacred mantras were chanted. King Prachinabari turned his face away. He was a seasoned warrior. He was a seasoned warrior, accustomed to death. Yet, no matter how many sacrifices he presided over, he still found it hard to watch these unsuspecting animals killed. He understood why his queen would never. Next page, Mataji.
Rasastali Mataji, would you like to continue?
Good morning, Hare Krishna Mataji. Sorry, it was mute. Yes, I'll read. Hare Krishna. 10. Still, this was the price the Vedas demanded to attain heaven in the next life. He consoled himself with the thought that the animals would be immediately elevated to human body. Prajin Bari's mind wandered to his queen. Her charming face, ruby lips, thick plaits, thin waist, and large breasts and hips. Just thinking of her, the king felt his passions rise. He shook his head and straightened himself, breaking his romance reverie. She would doubtless be in the sulking chambers again. He would instruct his bards to compose poems in praise of her beauty. Surely she could not resist him reciting poetry. Prachinbari sighed. How ironic that although all the kings of the world bowed to him, he bowed to a woman. A faint strain of music drifted in. As the sound grew louder, he reached a sweet voice chanting, Radhika Raman, Radhika Ramana. He beckoned his chief minister closer. Who is that singing? The minister shook his head and then turned to consult with the court Brahmins. A dazzling golden form appeared in the sky and gradually descended. He had a blond topknot, wore a black deerskin, and strummed a golden lute. The chief minister whispered to King Brachinbari, My lord, the Brahmins tell me this is the celestial sage Narada Muni. He is the spiritual master of your illustrious ancestor, King Dhruva, and the mind-born son of Lord Brahma. It is most auspicious that he has come here. King Prachinbari rose and, accompanied by his minister, hurried forward to greet Narada. Court Brahmins rushed out with the paraphernalia for greeting a saintly guest. Prachinbari garlanded Narada, washed his feet, and performed the ritual welcoming ceremony. Then he invited the sage to sit on his throne while he respectfully sat at his feet. I am blessed by your presence. How may I serve you? Nada said, My dear King Prachinbari, what do you hope to achieve by performing these annual sacrifices? The chief purpose of life is to get rid of miseries and enjoy happiness. Neither of these goals can be realized by this type of ritual sacrifice. So, what is your aim? Prachinbari's mouth fell open. What did the sage mean? Obviously, he was performing a horse sacrifice for elevation to the higher heavenly planets. The sage would surely know that. He must be familiar with the Vedic rituals for, for material elevation. Why did he say the ritual was useless? Narada seemed to read his mind. Any type of materially motivated activity, whether sanctioned by the Vedas or not, will further entangle you in repeated birth and death. Vedic rituals may promote you to heaven, but this does not mean the distresses of life will be eliminated. You will still have to suffer the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. Even the celestials are subject to these miseries. It is impossible to escape suffering or secure happiness by any ruminative work. The king swallowed hard, cleared his throat, and said, O great soul, my intelligence cannot fathom any action beyond rituals for heavenly elevation. I do not know of any greater goal. Is there, if there is anything superior, please teach it to me. I desire to become free of all distress. Narada looked at Prachinbari for several moments. As the descendant of the celebrated devotee Dhruva, how could he be so ignorant of life's true goal? Prachinbari blushed under Narada's scrutiny. Clearly the sage was not impressed. The king said, Every married man who is concerned with children, wife, and money thinks worldly progress is life's goal. I am not unique in this regard. Prachinbari lowered his head. Narada's very presence made him question himself. He said, I accept though that materialists like me wander endlessly in the cycle of birth and death, never finding permanent happiness. Nada waved his right hand, and in the sky there appeared the ethereal forms of many bloodied horses, rams, goats, and cows. Their eyes were red with anger. My dear king, please see those animals you have mercilessly sacrificed. They await your death so that they can avenge the injuries you inflicted on them. When you die, they will angrily pierce your body with iron horns. Prachinbari gasped. How was it possible that he would suffer for pious acts? As a warrior, there was no sin in his killing in war or to execute justice to perform sacrifice. How then was?
We will pause here and continue tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you. I just wanted to make one comment that just like we sometimes forget our goal and purpose in life, and when we become lost in so many trivial things, unnecessary things, and then Krishna very kindly sends the gurus, sends the Vaishnavas who remind us of our goal, remind us of our purpose, wake us up into reality, wake us up towards the actual ultimate purpose of life and the way to real truth path, true path to happiness. Like that Narad Muni, right? He appears exactly at the time and when everything is going wrong, and then he knows when to come and when to save us. So Guru represents Narada Muni to us, right? So he's in our parampara. And I was just thinking how Guru reminds us again and again, you're not this body, work towards the purpose of life, don't get stuck with all these materialistic goals. So very Very, very lucky we are. We're extremely lucky to have Vaishnavas. We're extremely who guides our path so that we're not lost. So we are very lucky. So thank you. And Rasastali Mataji, if you can read one of our affirmations for today before we start the Vishnu Sahasranam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I treat affirmation number 5. I treat the Mahamantra as Radha and Krishna, fully present in sound. Srila Prabhupada said that intellectually we cannot understand that the holy name is non-different from Krishna. It is something that we must experience. Those of us from the West did not understand the concept of God being present in a deity. For example, but with
We can't hear
faith
you,
in
Mataji.
you, can you hear me now? Can you
Yes,
hear me?
yes, Mataji.
Okay. Uh, For example, with the faith in Prabhupada's words, we worship the deity as Krishna. Because we worship the deity with that kind of faith, we began to realize and experience that Krishna is indeed non-different from the deity. We experienced his presence and we became attached to the deity. It's the same with the holy name. We may not be able to intellectually understand how Krishna is the same as his name, but we can experience it. This affirmation will get us off the intellectual platform and help us embrace the name as Krishna. We may not always have much of an experience of Krishna in his name, but when we place awareness on the reality that we are associating with Radha and Krishna while we chant, our experience of Krishna in his name deepens. When we worship the deity in the same consciousness, we begin to experience the presence, mercy, and various aspects of our relationship with the deity. In the same way, when we treat the holy name as Radha and Krishna deities in the form of sound, we increasingly experience and realize the presence of Radha and Krishna in their names. Prabhupada said the name is non-different from Krishna, that Krishna is fully present in his name. Therefore, we affirm that we will treat the holy name as Krishna, fully present in sound. We bow down to the holy name within our heart and we chant the holy name with the understanding that this is Krishna. Srila Prabhupada once said, when we chant the holy name, it is the same as taking darshan of the deities. When the curtains open, we bow down. Similarly, we should bow down to the holy name as we chant, thinking that Krishna is manifesting his presence before us. Hare Krishna.
Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Aura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Narad, Narad